Hello, everyone. Sending love and blessings to all. I'm coming today to share a different angle of the picture. And I like to talk a little bit about the situation that we are all living today related to the coronavirus. And I like to give an observation from a systemic angle. When I say systemic, I'm talking about I am a facilitator on family and systemic constellations. And I like to give some observations from a constellation that we did online a few nights ago. We met with different people. It was my very first online group constellation that I did, and we decided to constellate the situation that we are living today in the world, which is the virus. And so I wanted to share some of the observations from the constellation because I believe they can help us all or give us an insight of that different angle that maybe we have not seen yet. Because sometimes we put our mind on the origin of the situation, on the body, how it's moving, what it's doing, how you can resolve it. But maybe we can go deeper. Let's see. I'm going to give you some, let's see, where should I start? I got two conclusions from that constellation that I'm going to share tonight. Today. It is at night, of course. That's why I'm saying that. One of them is called the exclusion. That was one of the things that we found when we did this constellation. And in the systemic, it works like this. We all belong to a system. If someone or something is rejected or excluded, it wants to come back to be seen, recognized, or included, integrated in the system. If that one thing or that one person that is not there, is not included, it is like everything creates conflict around that. So we need to integrate, we need to see it, recognize it, and give it a place in the system. So in the constellation, we found that we put China, because in the constellation, you can put different energies, members of a family tree, or people, or situations that represent whatever it is. So we put China there, and we found that our ancestors, or the ancestors in China, did, like maybe long time ago, or I don't know if it is still happening, but women weren't as valued as men. Like if there was a baby girl born, many times they wouldn't take care of this baby, or they would give it away, or they would just leave it to die. Let's put it this way, because it was what happened. So these babies weren't recognized, weren't seen as part of the system. The non-borns still happen, like abortions or things like that are not included in the system. They need to be seen and placed in the system. That's all we need to do. So we noticed that there was a lack of recognition from these deaths. The death spoke a lot. Also, there was like all the people that who died and wasn't recognized maybe in the system, there was a lot of death speaking. So death is coming now and it's talking. We need to see how symbolically things speak to us, and we need to pay attention to that. So it's like we didn't see them, they are showing again. That's pretty much what the constellation showed. And I wanted to share that because I think it's an important point to share today, that we need to recognize all of these members of the system, even though it's not our system, they are part of our ancestral system. So we did an integration. We all, the ones that were present, we gave a position and a place to all of these souls that, or members that weren't recognized. So that was one of the things we did. Another thing that we found was that an exclusion is like a sort of a rejection. And when you reject, you attract. But when you integrate, you liberate. So there was a lot of rejection, talking about masculine or feminine, like if you are a man, if you're a woman, races, like depending on the race, that was like creating division. So we got to make an inclusion of all as one, because we are all one. And so without what it looks, we are only a oneness. So we took the the word, forgot the word, but there was no masculine or no feminine, there was no race. We peeled all of that, and we got to integrate ourselves as one system. That was part of the healing that we did that night. Another thing that the second observation that I found that was very interesting was talking about excess. We brought into the constellation Mother Earth to see what the planet wanted to tell us. And we found that there has been so much excesses, like life needs to be in balance. But if there is so much weight in this one, then the balance goes like that. Too much excess makes a weight, and then that cannot be compensated by life. So it needs to be compensated. The system is always looking to create balance. So if there is too much, something needs to go back to be in balance. And Mother Earth, we are the children of this planet. And pretty much what it showed, the constellation showed, was that Mother Earth was telling her children to stop. You're taking too much. You are abusing too much. You don't need so much. And we did understand. We were like, yes, maybe I'm wasting. But I wasn't doing much about it until this happened. So this was it was kind of like a forcing moment of stopping, but it's teaching us a lot, because that's how the wisdom of nature teaches, in a loving way, saying, stop doing that. And we found that we don't need so much. Now that we are home, we could understand that we can redesign our lives to waste less. We can actually work from home. Many of us can work from home and avoid energy and gas. And there is a lot of dynamics that were happening that were too much. So we are going in a simpler way, let's put it this way. And that is healing for all of us too. So these are actually blessings from that constellation and from what we got to see and from what I wanted to share this too. One other thing that I found very interesting was there was one other energy that was called going back to yourself. It was like going back home. Go back home. And to go back home symbolically is to go back to your soul. Our home is our soul. So the call is to go home because there is something there that we must see. We talk about what has been happening in a larger way. Let's put it this way, in a systemic way. All of us, all the systems together, and what's happening in the collective to us. But something is showing us also in an individual way. So what is it showing you? Why is your soul telling you go back home? Because we all have something to see there too. When we were children, we all lived different experiences. And many of those haven't been resolved yet. Still, they are affecting us, affecting our present, our relationships, and in many other ways that maybe we cannot have a vision, but they are affecting us in different ways that are not functional. So going back home means going back to your soul and search into those memories that are still affecting you. And when we go back home, we go to our childhood and see what happened there and what happened with my ancestors that wasn't resolved, that is still affecting me. And so I thought that this was an invitation to go in a journey towards your soul, because the journey is not outside, it's inside. And I created this, it's not a program, it is a way, a journey for you to walk into your soul and to recognize and to liberate and transcend all of these memories that we must take care of. So I created these 7 steps of a journey that are soul work. And I created it that we can, of course, do it online. We can meet online as we did in the constellation the other day. It was actually an experience for me, like it was like an experiment for me to say, let's see if it works, and it really did. So that was a blessing because it gave me this possibility to open this journey for you guys. So the journey are 7 steps. We're gonna do it through Zoom on Saturdays at 7 at night. Eastern time. I'm in Florida, so you will have to set your agenda to be Eastern time. What is going to happen in that meeting? We have one part that I will be talking about what happens with these memories, how a family system works, how the collective system works, which is what we are living now, how all of these things work, because it's our collective soul that is talking right now. So we are going into our individual soul. Why? Because the healing of one is the healing of all. So if you heal something, we all heal from that. And that is a way to help. That is the way to help what's happening today. So I created the 7 steps. I'm going to talk about the 7 steps. The first one that we're going to do is talking about exclusion. So it's called inclusion in the system. And the inclusion has to do with the recognition and integration of what we reject, of course, unconsciously. So we need to do that recognition so we can integrate it. The second one is called order in the system. And what we're going to talk about in that session, that step, is about how when we interchange roles, the whole system gets affected. And I'm going to give you a little example so you can understand better. So it is like this. Sometimes, let's put it this way, maybe a father is absent and maybe the older brother decides to take that place and take care of his mom and his brother and sisters. So he pretty much is taking a place that is not the place that he's supposed to do. So when the river comes from here, because there is an order, and it comes here, it gets stuck because there is no flow, because this person, instead of going down to the river like it's supposed to be by hierarchy, it stopped and became the father of this. So it's like, it's no possible way. It creates conflict in the family for the person and for the whole family system. So we're going to talk about the order in the family. We all need to have an order in the system so it can flow organically. That's what we're going to do that day. The third step is about relationships, healthy relationships. So what we're going to talk about in this one is about the dynamics or the unconscious games that we play between the members of the family. And that creates some of them manipulation, victimization, codependency. There are many games that we play that we don't recognize consciously, but they are affecting us in different ways as well. So that's what we will be doing that day. The fourth step has to do with the order of giving and receiving. Because as I spoke before, this is the balance. If you take too much, the balance goes like this, or if you receive too much, the way goes the other way. So the excess or the lack of whatever it is, love, pretty much, creates this balance and balance. And we need to learn what is the measurement, let's put it this way, for this weight to be in balance. So life can be compensated instead of creating debts, because we can create energetic debts from this when we take too much or when we receive too much. And these debts are going to be paid later in our finances, for example, or with our health. So those things we will see in that step. Number 5, invisible loyalties. So invisible loyalties had to do with secrets. The secrets that the family held and that were kept, they want to come to the light and show. But sometimes that's not what happens. Sometimes they happen again and people keep them kept because shame, because of guilt, because of whatever it is. these secrets are still operating, let's put it this way. They are still active. They happen once and they happen again because they are not seen. They only need to be seen, recognized, so we can liberate them. We're going to talk about that in step 5. Step 6, we're going to talk about repetitive patterns. And in this one, we're going to talk about the tendencies that come from my ancestral tree. We have these dysfunctional tendencies that could be abuse, abandonment, rejection. There are many. So which one is yours? And that you haven't recognized it yet, because sometimes we feel like, no, let's put an example. I don't feel that abuse is my thing, but maybe your boss is giving you extra hours to work and that is not being paid. So that is like an invisible line of, like if we talk about the abuse. So what is it that is affecting you that you haven't seen within yourself and that is in your system and that is affecting you today? That would be the 6th one. And the last one, the number 7th step, is called the order of love. And in this one, we have a way to distinguish, let's put it this way, differentiate true love and the love that comes from need. And we will be talking a lot about your inner child, that inner child that still lives within you, which was yourself when you were a child, and all the needs that weren't covered or that you feel that weren't covered, and that creates a need, and you're looking for that need outside. So when you receive or you give, you're always doing it because you're looking for that fulfillment of that emptiness. So that's what we will be doing on the 7th step. And I think that would be a good journey for the soul. 7 steps online. Join me if you feel like this is a call. I'm just being here the facilitator, the messenger. The universe say, okay, Maya, go tell them if they answer the call. Awesome, because we're gonna help. And this is your server and your helper and your facilitator if you decide to do it. Sign by clicking on the link that I'm going to leave here in YouTube on comments. Or also you can go to Systemic and Family Constellations Orlando in my Facebook and sign in the event. I have the link so you can register. Once you buy it, it's only $21 per step or per session. And what's going to happen there is that after this teaching, we're going to do a group constellation, and we're going to make a draw to see who is going to be constellated. And the blessing will be for all, because that person is going to show us a lot. And it's a beautiful, that's the beauty of constellation, that one person constellates, but we all constellate at the same time. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this. Thank you for sharing. If you feel like this can help someone else, I will appreciate it if you can share. And the link is here. Join us. Once you register, you're gonna receive an email with the link to get into the room that day. So I'll see you soon. And the dates are also there in the events. It starts on April 4th all the way to May 16th, Saturdays at 7 p.m. through Zoom. So I guess that's all I wanted to share. I'm sending you all blessings and healing and love. And I hope to see you soon. Bye. Soon and soon. Bye.